Hey folks, how you doing? I'm Alex. I'm here in beautiful South Shore, Bermuda. Yeah, today. So happy to be here, so glad. You know, there's a subject matter that I've been contemplating for a little while, because it's a subject matter that I want to talk to you, and I wanted to talk to my son, and I wanted to talk to my friends. And sometimes it's just hard to explain certain things. So I meditated on it, and I thought about it, and I've been thinking about it. And you was thinking, boy, it must be deep. And I said, well, it is. Because if you learn this principle I'm about to show you, it could change lives. It could change the way you look at things. But I need to express it in a way that doesn't offend people or make people feel like, that's too far out there. So I'm going to try to stay in the most general possible ways so that it doesn't offend people. But at the end of the day, if you take it to heart, it will change your life. It will rock your world. And what's it all about? I mean, what it all about? I mean, what is it? So I was watching the movie Steve Jobs, the movie with my son. And we watched it, we enjoyed it, and we were talking about it because, you know, when it comes to Apple and the whole computer age, I mean, I'm a nerd, so I remember a lot of this stuff. I mean, I remember the first iPods, I remember Napster, I remember, hey look, you want to know how far back I go with computers? The computer I learned with was the Atari 800, okay? So you look it up in Wikipedia, whatever, Wikipedia, and you will see how far back I go with computers. So I remember a lot of the history and a lot of the trajectory, and it was so wonderful to see my son taking an interest in it. But when he kept talking about Steve Jobs and like, he started like putting him in a pedestal. And I said, no, that's not the right place to put him. You know, when you see great people like they have created or become great people, don't put them on a pedestal. You got to put them in a place where I can tap into that source and become as great or as good, and I could do the same thing. And my friends, when we talked about the movie, they were pretty much doing the same thing, putting people in a pedestal. And I said, no, this is wrong. See, when you look at the story of Steve Jobs, and I love the story of Steve Jobs because you see a little bit of his metaphysical part where he's studying, and that's where I was trying to tell my son, you know, look at how he received his source. It's so important. I mean, when he saw the vision of the personal computer in every home, remember, if you look at the movie, he asked Wonka, the one who was actually building it, what's it for? What does it do? You know, what is it for? And you know, Wonka didn't really, look, it's a thing that we do. And, but you see what made Steve Jobs understand what it really do and what it really was his potential was when he asked that same question to Source. You see? And when you ask that question to the universe or to God or whatever, when you ask that question and that source answer you back, that source gives you back an answer, it fills your heart with and your soul, and it develops a passion that you could never even imagine. I mean, you would go after things that you say, I know the answer. It's like when we look at the Bible, and I look at a person like Noah, and I know we're going into the Bible now. We look at a person like Noah, and I'm not going into the story of the Bible. I just looking at the person. So here's Noah. He's building his huge boat in the middle of no water, nothing, no soil, no ocean around him, and he's building this humongous boat. And yeah, he's being ridiculed, and yeah, people are making fun of him. But you know why he does it? Because he has received answers from source. He knows from the universe or from God that this is what your destiny is. And the thing is, anybody and everybody has the right to have revelation and to have, how you call it, received from source, because it's in our hearts. That's what's in us. We all have things that we want to do, be, build, whether it's a song that we want to create, whether it's a new way of doing something we want to build, or just raising our families. It doesn't matter. You can always go to source and get answers. But too much of the time, we spend idolizing people. You know, even as Christians, Lord, it's getting close now. Even as Christians, sometimes that's what we do. We tend to idolize people. We look at the Bible and we look at the people in the Bible and we say, wow, and we put them so high in a pedestal. And we forget that if we just did the same thing, because that's all the Bible is. It's an instruction booklet on communication with God or the universe, whichever way you want to look at it. It's just that it shows you how to communicate with the universe. And it's so, so critical that we look at these things and learn how to communicate, because that's the power of how we could reach our full potential. Sometimes we look around us and we say, this is all I've created. That's right. Everything around you, everything that you've done is done through the creation process. So, and you're saying, and I know, if you don't feel like you've reached your full potential, that's because you haven't tapped into that full creative process. And you haven't tapped into the universe, into source, to receive revelation. And in order to receive inspired thoughts, you know, you gotta try to reach these inspired thoughts. Very, very critical in order to develop. And once you receive inspired thought, this is when you become tenacious at something. This is when you build an ark in the middle of the land and you say, I don't care what people say, because it's been revealed to me. You see, once Steve Jobs knew, he knew what the personal computer was going to be, because it was revealed to him through source. I don't care. I don't care what engineers have to say. I don't care what people have to say. It doesn't matter. I already know the answer. See, I already have the answer from source. I got the answer from the universe. I don't care what you're saying. You see? Another interesting story I'm going to tell you guys is one that of a guy, Henry Ford. Now, I guess he's a pretty smart fella. He was one of those car people, you know. And he wanted a single cast 8-cylinder block. Now, all his engineers came to him and said, hey, Henry, it's just not done that way. You know, we double cast or whatever they're doing at that time period. But you see, Henry Ford already went to source. And once he got the answer from source, and source told him, Henry, you can make a 8-cylinder single cast engine, he didn't care what the engineer said. You will build it. You will build it because I have seen it, I have gone into source, and I've gotten it. So I want you to build it. Go. I don't. And this is where, if you look at the story of the iPod, and how Steve Jobs was so tenacious with the iPod, because he tapped into source. He already knew what the iPod looked like. So all he's telling his engineers is, I want you to build what's inside here. I want you to build what source has revealed to me. And that's how you get that tenacious part. And the beautiful part about it is that you can do it. It's not exclusive. No, it's not exclusive to Steve Jobs. It's not exclusive to anyone. You know, it's for everyone. And when we look at books like the Bible, the Quran, or whatever we're doing, all they're trying to do is teach you how to reach source. You know, how to communicate with God so he can reveal to you. You know, how can you do it? And I always like, one of my favorite ways of doing it is meditation. Meditation is a very great process. Yoga, meditation, things that quieten the mind. Take the mind quiet. Look at this, the beauty behind me. This is one of the reasons why I love nature. You know, when you're in nature, you can see the power of creation. Wouldn't you want to have that source telling you what to do? That's what you want. You want to have that source. But to see out there the creator of creation. Look at a flower, look at a bird. I don't care what you do. Start looking at the power of creation. And tap into source. And really look into what you want. Look into your heart, your feeling, your soul. I want to make my family better than ever. Well, that's a great thing to go to source for. Children may say, hey, I want to make a better paper boat. You could go to source for that. It doesn't matter. I want to create the most beautiful painting. Painters have been going to source for hundreds of millennia to create the better paintings. Why can't you? You know, I want to build a better car. You can. You can. Why can't you? You know, remember that our DNA is unique, and we are very unique beings. So when we tap into source, our revelations are unique. You see, the way Honda came into making the car is different the way that Henry Ford came to making the car. You know, they both wanted cars, but they went about it different because source reveals different to different things. And remember, guys, another part when I'm talking about source and all of this, and I got this from the Jobs movie, and I remember it, and I kind of touch into it. Remember, I like study. Study any and everything you can. This is why I don't mind universities. Not because I'm looking forward to the job it'll get me. I just like universities, colleges, whatever, or anything. Grandpa that's got some old tricks up his sleeve. Anybody that could build my library, my internal mental library, so that I could tap, so source has a place to tap into. You know, this is where source can go in and say, hey, I could pull out of this. Like, I got mechanical backing, not that I'm used to lately, but I remember when I did my motor, but I know it's in there. My library is in there. So if I ever need mechanical stuff and source reveals it, because I've put stock in my library, and it could be, it doesn't have to be career oriented. It doesn't have to be career oriented. You could be, and this is one of the things where he studied calligraphy, where Steve Jobs studied calligraphy. Because he added that to his library. And it looked so abstract at the time. Think about it, calligraphy, computers. It couldn't be two further things. But because Steve Jobs understood the principle of going to source, and this calligraphy thing was put into him, into his library, when the time came, he added it to the computer. And this is how we have fonts. So guys, I always say, build your library, take a course, community course, whatever. You know, take a free lesson on how to do potting. I don't know, whatever it is. Building your library so source has places to tap into is very, very critical. So anyway, I hope I got my message across. I hope you enjoy some of the scenery. And I'll see you in the next video diary.